What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be looking at some major Maple Leaf trade talk coming from Sportsnet, talking about potential trades for Mitch Marner. And, I'm not saying these are going to happen. Sportsnet's not saying this is going to happen, but we got to do our due diligence and at least talk about it, because the biggest topic going into this offseason is whether or not the Maple Leafs will trade one of the core four players at the time of recording this, at least, and whether or not they're going to make a big change, whether they're going to make a big trade. So if you guys are new here and you enjoy this video, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. If you don't want to subscribe here, that's completely fine, but liking this video definitely does help the channel to get more people checking out the video, so I do appreciate that. But we do know the biggest name that's on the trade block currently for the Maple Leafs, and that's Mitch Marner. And I know people say, well, I don't think he's on the trade block. He's got a no-move clause. Well, there's been some talk out there from various sources, and it's mostly coming from the SDPN side of things. Adam Wild, Steve Dangle, Jesse Blake, Chris Johnston. They've been doing a lot of podcasts recently, and they've been having a lot of talk recently on Mitch Marner. And the kind of the temperature around that is that the Maple Leafs would probably ask him and Tavares if they would waive their no-move clause. And Marner might actually say yes to that. He might actually welcome a move. He might welcome a chance to move on somewhere else. So Sportsnet did post an article talking about options for the Maple Leafs and trades that they can make. So I kind of want to go over these because some of them are kind of ridiculous. So the first one is Columbus getting Mitch Marner, of course, in exchange for the 4th overall selection in this year's draft and Kent Johnston. So Kent Johnston is a pretty good young talent, 21 years old, has a really low cap hit. They'd have to re-sign him, but had a pretty decent year, I would say. Nothing crazy, 16 points in 42 games, 15 in 10 when he played in the AHL. And basically what you're banking on here is that he takes another step up, and then you take that 4th overall selection, you make the pick, or you trade that pick away for instant help. Now, for me, this does make sense, but at the same time, I don't believe that this would be enough. I think the Maple Leafs could probably go out there and get a little bit more of something more of a now trade. Now, mind you, getting Ken Johnson plus cap space, because you got to remember the cap space is also very valuable. You're acquiring cap space, but that 4th overall selection could be really good to go out there and flip for a defenseman or a goaltender or whatever you feel is the next thing that you need to go after. Hell, another forward if you have to. So I don't necessarily dislike this trade. Again, maybe Columbus wouldn't do something like this, but this isn't my favorite one of the bunch. This next one could potentially be the one that I like the most, and that is the Seattle Kraken getting Mitch Marner in exchange for Shane Wright and Adam Larsson. Now, Shane Wright's a little interesting because he hasn't really panned out yet to his full potential. He's only 20 years old. So again, still on that ELC. So you're grabbing a player that's under $1 million. He had 47 points in 59 games in the AHL this year, but had 5 points in 8 games in the NHL, including 4 goals. He came up and he played really well. And then you have Adam Larsson, who's a big, bruising 6'3" defenseman. He's got that $4 million cap hit for a couple more seasons. For one more year after this one. And as you can see, the guy put up some points, but you're not really looking to this guy to put up numbers. The Maple Leafs would be looking for physicality from him. Now, the reason why this trade could make sense is you get a partner that could play with Morgan Rielly. You get a guy that's going to be more or less the defensive side of the game, a little bit more of a stay-at-home bruising guy. So your first pairing would be Rielly and Larsson. Maybe you go into next season with McCabe and Benoit again as your second pairing, and then you can plug and play anybody on that third pairing that you believe should be on the team. Maybe you re-sign Edmondson and then go out there and sign another right-handed shot defenseman, or you get Liljegren there. I would prefer the Leafs to go out there and get 2 top 4 defensemen this offseason. And if you're acquiring the cap space as well in this trade, you get Larsson, Shane Wright plus cap space. The Leafs would be sending out $11 million, and getting back about 5 million. So they're going to save a lot of money there, almost 6 million depending. There's obviously a few numbers here and there. I think Marner's at like 10.9 or whatever. So you're acquiring a lot of cap space that you can go out there and then maybe spend on another defenseman. So you would get 2 defensemen plus a forward for the money in the trade that you're making there. So I think that Seattle Kraken trade would make sense. There is a big possibility that would work. But again, this next one is the one that's a little bit crazy to me. So I have mentioned before that I do believe that the Maple Leafs could go out there, and I said this very briefly, but go out there and maybe talk about Jacob Markstrom. So in this trade, it's Marner, Minten, Robertson, and Liljegren for Markstrom, Rasmus Andersson, and the Flames retaining 25% of Markstrom's salary. Now, here's the thing. No. I don't think the Leafs would have to add Fraser Minten into this trade. You're giving them back a young defenseman who's actually been decent and a young forward that actually started to play really well, and I don't really want the Leafs to get rid of, to be completely honest with you. I think Robertson played his way back on this team, to be completely honest. Fraser Minten is a really good prospect, and if you're asking me, Marner's value is more than Jacob Markstrom. So you're telling me we have to trade Minten, Robertson, and Liljegren for Rasmus Andersson, which again, he's good, but Fraser Minten is probably on the same level of value as Rasmus Andersson. He's definitely not that much less of value that you have to add Robertson and Liljegren. Personally, I would swap Fraser Minten for a different prospect, maybe somebody that's in a tier below him. I'm not saying, oh, we don't have to add anybody else in, just Robertson, Liljegren, Marner, but honestly, you might be able to pull that off. So, and no retention of Markstrom's salary. That's how I personally would do it. Now, for Markstrom, the thing that's a little concerning to me is that he's got a couple more years at $6 million, and he plays a lot of games. But as you can see, he didn't have the greatest save percentage. He was good in the goals against category, but some of these numbers are very, below league average. They're kind of similar. They're kind of similar to like other goaltenders in the league. And like, I don't want to say similar to Samsonov because I don't think it's that similar, but I don't want the Leafs to bring back Samsonov. Don't get me wrong. Don't think that's what I'm saying, but I honestly believe that the Maple Leafs making this trade would make them better in terms of in goal, because again, we don't know what's going on with the crease, and the Flames were bad this year. So you bring in a really good defenseman in Rasmus Andersson, and I'll look at his numbers here, $4.5 million cap hit. So the Leafs would probably be spending similar money, but you get a top 4 defenseman who has a few more years left on the deal, and you get a guy who's going to put up numbers. He puts up points. But he plays a pretty sound all-around game. So it's a guy that I think would make sense on this team. Puck-moving defenseman. He had 50 points a couple of years ago. This would be probably the best trade for the Leafs to at least get better, in my opinion, because you get a starting goaltender that can play 50-plus games, who can share the crease with Joseph Woll. Woll doesn't have to play as many games because he gets injured so often. You get a guy that can play really solid and that can put up points. And that still allows the Leafs to go out there and make more moves, because you're just replacing Mitch Marner with 2 pieces instead of 1. The only issue is that you're losing another defenseman in Liljegren, and you're losing another cheap forward in Robertson, and potentially another prospect not named Fraser Minten, because I don't think that trade makes any sense for the Maple Leafs. So that one is a little bit more like, there's a lot more thought to that. I feel like that one makes a little bit more sense. Now, this last one here is another one where I'm kind of like, I'm not really sure how this one would work. So this would be a 3-way trade. The Flyers ending up with Mitch Marner, which I don't think he would waive to go to Philly anyways, because Tortorella's there. The Leafs getting Scott Laughton, Mario Ferraro, and a 2024 second-round pick. The Sharks getting Oliver Bonk. This is not enough for the Leafs. I'm sorry. I know that Laughton and Ferraro are good pieces, but like, just taking a look here, like, I know Laughton plays a pretty good overall game. That $3 million cap hit is nice. This trade only makes sense. We'll look at the points here. 40 points basically in 82 games. So not a bad season. And then Mario Ferraro, 25 years old. on a really good contract as well, puts up some points, but again, plays a pretty decent overall game. The value here for the Leafs would be getting a defenseman and a forward that probably fits what this team needs and the cap space. It's just, I'm not too sure that this would be my favorite deal. If I'm looking at like the Flames trade, if I'm looking at the Seattle trade, I would probably take those ones over this trade here, because Larson, in my opinion, is better suited for what the Leafs need than Ferraro. And I also think that I would rather have the upside potential of Shane Wright playing with really skilled forwards and over Scott Lawton. And people might think I'm nuts for that, but I would rather take that shot. The only thing with Shane Wright is he's got attitude problems, so that could also be an issue. But out of all these trades, like I said, I think the Flames one probably would have the most potential. Rasmus Andersson and Jacob Markstrom coming to the Leafs would be really good. You get that starting goalie, you get a top 4 defenseman. It's just, I believe Rasmus Andersson's a left-handed shot too, though. That's the issue, right? Oh no, he's a right defense, right shot. Okay, no, that definitely makes sense. I don't know why I thought he was a lefty, but that trade probably makes the most sense. That gives you your top pairing. Again, maybe you play McCabe with Anderson, and then you get somebody else. You know, in a perfect world, the Leafs could land 2 top 4 defensemen, guys that can play heavy minutes. They need to do it, but we'll have to see. Maybe they re-sign Lyubushkin, let him play with Riley because he played really well, and then towards the playoffs, add somebody else at the deadline. So you'd go like Riley, Lyubushkin, McCabe, Anderson, and then you would go Benoit and whoever else on that right side, right? So there's a lot of ways the Leafs can improve. I think that these trades would make sense. Then again, we don't even know if Marner's going to waive the no-move clause. We don't even know if they want to trade him. There's so much in the air right now. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you guys are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Join the squad. Like I said, thank you so much for watching this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.